Right, so tell everybody who you all are.
Well, I'm Rick Feist. I'm Brittany's dad. And
I'm Roxy Feist. I'm Brittany's mother.
And I'm Brittney Feist, the vaccine injured one.
Now, do you have any more children?
No.
We broke the mold on her.
Pardon?
We broke the mold on her.
Right, okay, so let's get to the story. Now, who wants to tell the story? Do you want to tell it, Brittany?
I can tell it.
Okay, wonderful.
I was 21 when I was vaccine injured. I was a healthy college student trying to go into communications because I liked theater and music. I was actually thinking about trying to get into a more theatrical life on stage. And I went into a doctor's appointment to get a cyst removed, and the doctor literally scared me into taking this vaccine. I had said no twice before because it was too new, and they said this vaccine Gardasil will protect you from cancer, cervical cancer. Well, cancer is a scary word, so of course I started to listen, but it wasn't until I had a lab accident at school in one of the science classes, and she said that I could get this disease from brushing up against somebody who was sweating or from a lab accident at school. So that scared me into it.
Can we just go, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So you had a lab accident. What did happen to you?
I was in chemistry lab and something exploded and I inhaled a lot of the gas that they have for the Bunsen burners.
Right.
And it ended up burning my nasal passages and down my throat into my esophagus at the time. So with that happening, I was a little leery of the situation. So that was how that...
Especially with broken glass possibly happening and blood intermingling with hers.
Right.
So that's what the doctor was implying, that her blood could mingle with someone who was affected.
With HPV?
Yes. And that's what
Wow,
she was told.
That's a big story to tell, just for a bonus.
Oh, yes.
Alright, so, so what happened?
I know within the first 24 to 48 hours I had passed out and I didn't know why. I thought I had...
This is after the first Gardasil vaccine?
Yes. I had 2 out of the series, but after the first one, I didn't realize what was going on. I thought I had dehydrated, and I woke up on the floor in front of the TV with the DVD drawer open.
Were you at home at that time?
No one was home.
We weren't. I wasn't home. I was at work, and so was my husband. We were both at work.
So you just were aware of yourself waking up?
Yeah, and I thought I had dehydrated or something, so I went and I drank some water. And then it wasn't too long after that I had my first seizure, and I had no clue what was going on.
Were you on your own again?
I was with friends, and they thought I was going into some kind of asthma attack or something. I don't even know what they were saying. I just remember that it happened again, and we were in the car, and I went cold, and I couldn't move, and my vision started to go tunnel, and then it just went black, and then I couldn't hear anything. And the next thing I know, I'm waking up. The person I was dating at the time had pulled the car over, pulled me out of the car, and was trying to do CPR on me because he thought I had died in the front seat of his car. From there, situations just got worse. There was swelling at the base of my neck. My face looked like it was one of those goo things on a computer where you can misshape the face. And it happened right in front of Mom's eyes one night. I was laying there just crying because there was so much pain and I couldn't understand why my head hurt.
Where was your pain?
It was in my head, and it was going down my spine. And I just remember like screaming because it hurt so much, and it was because the aluminum in the vaccine had breached into my brain, and I had heavy metal poisoning, and I didn't understand what was going on.
Right.
and from there was damage done to the brain. There was damage done to the stomach, and it wasn't showing up right away.
They didn't test for the vagus nerve damage for 4 years. She was throwing up daily. Everybody was looking at the brain and the spinal column. They sent her right away to the hospital. The guy grabbed her in emergency and said, "I don't see any swelling," and he's squeezing her all over, and she's passing out. And
Did you mention vaccine damage at any
Yes.
point?
Yes,
we tried to. We told him that she had this
they
shot
said it couldn't have been the vaccine
because it's safe.
because it's safe.
And they blew that off. And then they tested her for several days for mental acuity and whether she was, having depression or there was something wrong with her mentally. And she cleared all that. It was not a conversion disorder, they had finally ruled. She saw 64 specialists who threw up their hands most of the time and said, "Well, we don't know what to do with you. Nothing is showing up on the test except you have something odd going on
With your DNA.
with your DNA," and then there was something odd happening with the IgG or IgA, one of those tests, and then it finally settled down. But that was at the point where she had lost the ability to walk. She couldn't see very well. Her vision was doubled and blurred. She couldn't read anymore. She began to regress. She became like a 9-year-old child, 7 to 9 years of age, and could no longer read and write.
And yet still nobody's taking responsibility
Right.
at all
Right.
for this vaccine.
No.
No.
So she was wheelchair bound, bedridden for a long time.
And this is after 2 Gardasil shots.
This was after
So
2.
after the first one, did you have any of these symptoms, or does this all
This-
happen after the second?
It started with the first, and then with the second, it got worse, and I almost died.
See, we didn't realize what was going on because she wasn't home a lot. She was out with her college friends or she was away. And when she would have these events happen, we weren't around. But then when she began to tell me about these things, I began on the calendar to count backwards and to look at the time frame. And then I began to write in a journal. And I journaled for 5 years. What she went through, what we went through, what she experienced.
You need to publish that.
Yeah, it needs to be gone through, definitely.
So we've now quite a few interviews we've done on Gardasil and some with the mothers because the daughters didn't survive, and they all have the same symptoms. And this is clear as day, the Gardasil symptoms: the dizziness,
Right.
the pains in the legs,
The heart issues, the stomach issues, the
palpitations.
brain.
and- yeah.
Yes.
It's exactly. It's so clear that I can't understand why when they're admitted to hospital with these symptoms
Right.
and they say they've had the Gardasil shot, it is clear negligence.
Right. It is.
It is. They don't see us as human beings anymore. It's more like we're science experiments, and they see us as money makers. So they don't really want to deal with the problem. They want to short fix it or pretend to short fix it so that we have to keep coming back to spend more money for health.
What has this vaccine taken away from you? What's your life like now?
I don't get out much. I see my friends married with kids or having careers or fulfilling their dreams of what they want out of life, and I'm kind of stuck in this holding pattern at home, sitting there trying to just get through the day by just barely doing the smallest functions of eating, drinking, sleeping, getting up, going to the bathroom, just different
How
things.
long have
like
you
that.
been like this?
9 years. It happened in 2007, and it's just gone from there.
Do you live at home?
Yes.
But she needed
I
us to
can't-
take care of her.
Yeah, I
So
can't.
she needs care.
She did. I had to bathe her and dress her in the very beginning. I mean, it was like having a big baby all over again because she couldn't do anything. And the doctors kept saying, "Oh, it's all in her head," or "It's this." I said, "No, it's not. She was on her own. She was a strong person. And now I have to bathe her. I have to dress her. I have to care for her. I have to feed her." She finally started pulling out of that part of it after we changed her diet, we found an alternative doctor who helped us change her diet. We went to an organic, non-GMO, no gluten, no dairy. And this was before we knew about the gastroparesis in her stomach. That came along in 2011. That's when we found out about that injury. So she was eventually able to start walking again. She had 2 canes that she walked with, and now she's down to 1. But on bad days, we go back to the wheelchair.
Cuff crutches.
Cuff crutches, that's it. Yes. And my husband has been right there, keeping us strong and steady.
Your piece you wrote was amazing. It really is amazing. And
It's been a few years.
so, I mean, from that piece, I can tell you're angry.
Oh, yeah, sure. You know, I had, one day I had a viable daughter, working out, doing stuff, normal stuff, hiking, going to school. And next thing I know, she's really struggling just to, you know, do the normal things. I'm an engineer. I'm an engineering manager. And I get involved in a lot of troubleshooting of existing product that's been out in the field for years. You never take anything for granted. What you think you know is exactly what you don't know. And you test stuff that's been tested, and you see what is the difference, what's the delta in that application. And I'm disappointed in the medical community for not doing that. They are assuming that the research is not flawed or that has covered all the applications, and it obviously has not. There is reasonable doubt that this vaccine is not even safe. It's not viable for what they said it originally would cover. It is not worth the risk to take this vaccine. And yes, I'm angry because it has affected my family. If it was somebody else that affected their family, they'd be angry too.
We share your anger.
Absolutely, I'm angry. Yes.
Please know that we're angry with you.
Oh, very.
Did you go back and see the doctor that gave your daughter this vaccine?
We had discussions, and it was clear that the vaccine absolutely could not be the cause.
Yeah.
And like I say, as a professional, okay, I'm not a doctor, but as a professional, that's not the way you troubleshoot problems and have success. I've had a lot of success in troubleshooting problems that were difficult to find in my profession. And it starts, and many times, in fact, many times it's been that which you assumed was already proven.
What do you say to other fathers who are about to, because I know these people, who just simply believe that their pediatricians are literally, and it tends to be ones who have lost loved ones to cancer, so maybe not thinking straight, and totally believe the doctor when the doctor says this is totally safe.
Do the research. Do the research and look for the motivation behind the application of these drugs, these vaccines. You know, what is driving that? This is a very profitable drug, or vaccine, I should say, that if taken off the market would cause considerable loss to a company that's already had loss from previous bad experiences. So follow the money.
Follow the money, honey.
And then support your family. That's all you can do. Try to stay smart, try to stay solid, because in a lot of families, I think it's easy for people to start going against each other. I think fathers especially are distrustful of this could be wrong, that the vaccine might not be viable, and they begin to blame actually the people that took the vaccine and not support them. I think that happens sometimes. You know, believe in your family, and do the research, follow the money, and trust your instincts.
And what would you say? There are clearly whistleblowers for Gardasil working right now that know, they know what this is doing to people like your daughter, Brittney, and the girls that have lost their lives. They know. What is your message to them?
Those that are working for the
That
Well-
know that they could come out and stop this. They could stop this
well,
right now.
I don't know. You have to live with yourself, I guess. I understand the pressures. Their jobs are threatened. I spoke with someone here, I won't mention who, but is a professional in the medical industry and is very brave in speaking out, but has to be careful. Had to hire a lawyer because you tell the truth. I think in the end you have to do what's right, and that's tell the truth, regardless of the consequences. If you know something is killing people, is being promoted to not kill people, if you know something is damaging people and you're involved with it and you know the truth, well, you're responsible for that truth. Are you not? And how else is the truth going to be known if you don't say what the truth is, if you don't speak out? And unfortunately, that carries a huge penalty sometimes. But in the end, you've got to look your maker, or whatever you acknowledge. You've got to look them in the eye and say, I did what's right, or I did what I let happen. That's a personal thing. I guess none of us knows how we'll stand if we were in that same situation. So as a kind of a man of faith, I would pray for those people to have strength and coverage. If there's organizations that can help them with with legal assistance, that would be great. I understand the challenge of that position, but I imagine there's a lot of penalty to pay when you speak out for the truth. I admire those who do.
Don't be quiet. Don't be silent. Speak out. Tell the truth. Save lives. Prevent this.
That's what this is. It's a big lie. I'm sorry, guys.
I just don't want anyone else to get hurt from this vaccine. I've seen too many people whose lives have been destroyed or just ruined because of this. And I want better for everybody. No one deserves to go through this. No one deserves this nightmare.
Far less damage has been done by other things, like the airbag thing.
Yes.
There were much fewer deaths, much fewer injuries, and immediately the company involved said, okay, let's stop,
Take it off the market.
Government takes action, but this is far greater than that and has endless repercussions, exponential effects possible. And yet, there's hindrance on this. Why? You know why? Because of money.
Money. Money is the driving factor.
Because of money.
Yes.
How do you get by day mentally?
It's a challenge. Some days are worse than others. I have trouble even getting words from my brain to my mouth a lot. And there's a lot of problems with thinking. I have to get help a lot from mom or dad to even figure out how to form a sentence sometimes.
Sometimes.
It's a struggle, and you just have to keep a lot of repetition or until you get the ideas from your brain to your mouth and out. So it's very difficult.
She writes a lot too. She does write a lot. Makes up stories. It helps her mind to get it off of her situation, just to write about.
Do you write about your injury and how you're feeling? Is it like a diary?
It's more of fantasy characters overcoming struggles and battles because of I haven't been able to really put into words what this has done to me personally or how I feel about it, because it's just been too tough the past so many years. I was able to in the beginning, but I just can't do it right now. There's just too much pain and anger and frustration and a lot of hate.
Did your friends stand by you? Do you still have your friends?
I don't actually. A lot of them have walked away. Oh, I can't handle seeing you in pain, or life has gotten busy and they just disappear, which it's normal because they have kids, they have husbands, they have wives, they have whomever, and I'm stuck. So it's something. It's not. I'm not a priority as a person because I can't go out and do things with them. They have to come to me. So it's been heartbreaking because you want to be normal again. You want to live a normal life, and you want to do all these things that you dreamed about doing, and you just can't because it's just gone. And there's just so much struggle, and you just think, I wanted to be a wife and a mom, and you just think, who would want someone who can't even cook or go out or enjoy a nice movie or something without having to stop it or rewatch it or something. So it's a struggle, and it's hard, and I just don't understand why they can't admit that what they're doing is wrong, and I can't understand why no one is coming forward and saying, hey, this is wrong, what they're doing to these people, and this isn't a lie, and it's not in their heads, and it shouldn't be about money, it should be about human beings, because the medical field was created to save lives and not destroy them. And all I'm seeing is destruction from these vaccines, from Gardasil to all these different others. And I'm tired of it. And when I speak out against it, I get negativity and I get berated and slandered because we're ingrained from a certain age that vaccines are so important and that they save lives when there is no proof. They don't test them the way they should, and with all the amounts that they're giving kids in the United States, I don't know about other countries, but the amount has risen to I don't even know, what is it, 30, 40 now? Something. And to add this to it and give it to babies and boys and men and women, and it's just, and they get hurt and they start showing symptoms, and then they're just like, well, we don't know what's going on. And it's just, I just want to say they are so full of it. Because they do know, it's more money than it is anything to them.